The United States celebrated its first Women's History Month in 1987 when Congress passed a law designating March National Women's History Month. Today, its popularity has grown globally for women in developed and developing countries alike, highlighting the contributions of women to events in history and contemporary society. The State Department's Office of Global Women's Issues works hard to make sure women's issues are fully integrated in U.S. foreign policy.
I'm going to give you the most unconventional hero you'll hear all day. My hero is Temple Grandin. She's an animal science professor at Colorado State University, and she has done more to advance animal welfare and livestock handling practices than anyone I can think of. She's also autistic.
So Sonia Sotomayor, one of our Supreme Court justices who managed to figure out a path for herself that led to one of the most amazing places in the world.
My mother-in-law. She's a cool lady, yeah. Born in 1927 in Dresden. Mother was alone, raised her. She dropped out of school when she was in the 6th grade. Experienced the bombings of Dresden by the Americans. What she went through living in the East. Really cool lady. 94 years old and still kicking.
I've always been inspired by the story of Harriet Tubman, who in her time, she was pretty remarkable. She was a runaway slave, and not only did she free herself, but she went back to the South, and I think 8 or 9 times, and successfully freed several dozens, perhaps hundreds of other slaves. So I'm always inspired by her courage in those trying times.
But I think my best hero is from my own personal loves. I love musicals. I love watching American musicals, and one of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite American women is from Ginger Rogers. Ginger Rogers, as everybody probably knows, was a female dancer who danced with Fred Astaire, and everybody also always loved to talk about how wonderful Fred Astaire was, and Ginger Rogers just basically said, yep, I did what he did, only I did it backwards, and I did it in heels. And she did it with a lot of grace, so I think she's one of my personal heroes.
Well, because I work in the press office, I'm very close to whatever the news is. And I'm in Germany right now, and of course Angela Merkel is a woman who is leading Europe right now in trying to do the right thing regarding refugees. And I think in so many ways, she's such an inspiration because she's made it possible for a woman to be focused on substance. I had a conversation just last week with a woman who's an editor of a newspaper, and we both agreed that the chancellor doesn't have to talk about, what her hairdresser is, what clothes she wears, because she has a standard way of presenting herself, and all of the focus is about what her policies are. It's not about, the chancellor as a person.
I would probably say Ambassador Roz Ridgway, who was ambassador in East Germany here, and I came in the fall of the Berlin Wall. My being an exchange student here, the year of reunification, the East Germany-West Germany transition is something that has been a major influence on my career. And so I met Ambassador Ridgway. I introduced her during A100 and was immediately starstruck by this female that had accomplished such amazing things in a place that I was in love with. And so for me, again, when you go back to the question about has the role of women changed, I remember those first conversations, and within the first couple of weeks, seeing evidence that there have been women for a long time achieving what I aspire to do. And so yeah, from that angle, I would say Ambassador Ridgway.